Hello kind people of YouTube and welcome back to another video. There's a couple more news stories I haven't gotten around to yet from the last couple days, so let's take a look real quick in this video. First up, we have one of the newly announced xRapid partners saying they will go live within the first quarter of 2019. To celebrate the start of another great new year, Ripple announced that it had partnered with more than 200 financial institutions and banks, which will eventually use Ripple's services. In the same announcement, Ripple has also announced that 5 JNFX, Sendfriend, TransPayGo, FTCS, and EuroXim Bank of these 200 partners had agreed to leverage the digital asset, xRP, to source liquidity and facilitate real-time cross-border payments. The phrasing here is a bit misleading. It makes it sound like out of these 200 partners, only 5 are going to use xRP. No, they just announced that 5 more were going to use xRP, doing the same announcement where they said they now had over 200 total. We have close to 20, I believe, official xRapid xRP partners now, with many more set to be unveiled in the near future. Sendfriend, one among those announced 5 partners, CEO David Lighton, has confirmed that their xRapid services will go live in Q1 of 2019 at a Barclays Accelerator event. The tweet stated, once again weird phrasing because it sounds like they announced it at an event, but then apparently they announced it in a tweet. Well, never mind how it was announced, it was announced. We leveraged the blockchain to create an instant digital money transfer service, a full 65% cheaper than the industry's average. Sendfriend is the US's first fully compliant international consumer payment solution built on the blockchain, and we are going live in Q1. The notable thing here is they're pointing out that they are a US-based company, which is another nail in the coffin for anyone who tries to use compliance issues as a reason for why xRP cannot be used in the US. That is clearly not the case if Sendfriend is set on implementing it in the coming weeks. That means they are fully done with compliance and they have the go-ahead. Furthermore, Sendfriend tweeted, "The existing correspondent banking system is slow, inefficient, and costly. We are excited to partner with Ripple to solve these problems, to offer our customers a cheaper and faster way to send money to the Philippines." Like I mentioned in other videos before, most of the applications right now are trialing individual money corridors at first, to then see how it works and further expand it. The CEO also mentioned that Ripple had contributed $1 million to Sendfriend to support marketing expenses which might have come from RippleNet's accelerator program, which usually supports early adopters of its technologies. So here we have yet more confirmation that more and more companies are going to go live on xRapid in the coming weeks. Of course, all of this traffic will be visible to us because it will happen through exchanges. So unlike a lot of over-the-counter trades and stuff like that, we should actually see everything that happens on xRapid reflected in the XRP ledger on exchanges, and we should have a lot of insight there. Now, don't expect too much. When xRapid went live, a lot of people were expecting hundreds of companies to instantly start using it. People were expecting that the XRP price would go into the hundreds of dollars overnight. That is, of course, absolutely insane. None of that happened and none of that was ever going to happen. Keep your expectations in check. You should be in it for the long game. Don't expect XRP to go up to $20, $30, $50 in the next couple of weeks just because more people are using xRapid. This will all start relatively slowly. All these companies are essentially trying it out. They are trying to see how effective it is, how good their savings are in realistically, if they will run into any legal or compliancy issues. And then once everything works fine, they will slowly but surely expand this to more money corridors, to more money flowing through it. So a lot of people are having unrealistic expectations. All of this is a slow onboarding process that will accelerate over time. We do have one bit of bad news today. Actually, the rest of the news in this video are pretty bad, but you know, we can't just ignore the bad stuff. We need to talk about it. So there is an apparent flaw in Lightning Network's cross-chain functionality. The headline here says discovered. This has apparently been known about for close to a year. And I am personally unsure how serious this flaw is because, like I say many times in my videos, I'm not a tech person. I rely on what people much smarter than me tell me about tech. But I'm just gonna read this article out to you guys, and then you can decide how important you find this. But to me, it looks like there are ways around this, and like this isn't necessarily a death nail to Lightning. While the Lightning Network is mostly known as a way to make Bitcoin payments instant and practically free, another often touted aspect of the Layer 2 protocol has been its ability to enable a sort of decentralized exchange as a side effect of its original goals. However, the viability of this functionality has come under fire recently as developers have uncovered a potential exploit of this system. And this is Charlie Lee just advertising the possibility of atomic swaps between Bitcoin and Litecoin on the network. Although the Lightning Network is usually associated with Bitcoin, the payments-focused layer can be built on top of any other blockchain that has the proper underlying features. For example, Lightning transactions have been successfully tested on the Litecoin and Vertcoin networks. When Lightning Network functionality is available on more than one blockchain, it becomes possible to instantly swap the native tokens of these blockchains in a decentralized, low-trust manner. This works by routing payments through Lightning Network users who are operating on multiple blockchains. If Alice wants to send some Litecoin to Bob, but she only has Bitcoin available, she can route through a third party who is holding both Bitcoin and Litecoin on the Lightning Network. While this decentralized exchange sounds amazing in theory, multiple developers have poked holes in the logic behind the feature. As pointed out in the most recent issue of Bitcoin Optech newsletter, Lightning Network developer Corne Ploy, I terribly butchered that name, I'm so sorry, created a thread on the Lightning Dev mailing list back in May of last year where he explained how cross-chain Lightning Network payments effectively create a nearly free option contract for users. A pseudonymous developer recently brought the topic up again on the same mailing list. The basic issue at hand is Lightning Network participants are able to delay transactions. And this is the big issue, this is what you have to keep in mind. Through this flaw, a user could pause an exchange from Bitcoin to Litecoin, for example, and see how the Bitcoin to Litecoin exchange rate changes over the next 24 hours. If the exchange rate moves in the user's favor, they'll complete the transaction. If the exchange rate moves against them, then they'll cause the transaction to fail. With this method, the user can make money by simply canceling unprofitable trades and accepting profitable trades. They basically get to trade based on knowledge of where the price will move in the future. So essentially, what is happening here is there is a loophole where you essentially have crypto futures where you can decide to either accept them if in the future the price goes where you want it to, or not accept them if you don't want the price go where you want it to go. Now the opportunity for abuse here is very obvious. If a Bitcoin is worth X Litecoin today, you can wait, and if the next day Bitcoin is worth more, well, maybe you don't trade it into Litecoin. If it's worth less, maybe you do trade it into Litecoin, and then you can instantly sell off those Litecoin for a profit. So a lot of manipulation possible here, a lot of abuse possible here, but they do have some potential solutions, so let's read on. While the pseudonymous developer behind the most recent mailing list thread on this topic believes the idea of a multi-asset Lightning Network should be abandoned, Ploy has offered a potential solution that involves the use of a third party between the two users who want to make a trade. So imagine this similar to how you have, how in a lot of smart contract systems, there's a third person who has to pretty much deliberate if the two people can't come to an agreement. It may seem paradoxical to solve a Bitcoin problem with the use of a trusted third party, but the amount of trust placed in the third party is rather low. More importantly, Ploy's solution is still an improvement over traditional centralized crypto asset exchanges. The system described here is not perfect, but when it comes to developing decentralized and trust-free alternatives to exchange services, it is an improvement, writes Ploy in his explanatory paper on this solution. Compared to a regular exchange service which has control over customers' funds, the routing service cannot steal from its customers, it cannot lose customers' funds in case of a hack, and unless the server provider decides to add restrictions on who or when to serve, it doesn't have to know any identifying information about its customers, or even what asset is being traded between them at what exchange rate. Now he brings up very valid points here, but it's important to keep in mind here, he is comparing apples and oranges. Because while all of those are real drawbacks of centralized exchanges, those are very different qualitatively from the solution he is proposing here. But let's just read the end of this article, and then I'm gonna let you guys decide how you feel about this, because I simply don't have all the necessary insight. In short, the only way the trusted third party can cheat is to conduct the same delay attack that Ploy's solution is intended to solve in the first place. Trusted third parties can compete with each other on fees, trustworthiness, and other features. They need to preserve one's reputation as an exchange provider on the Lightning Network, should limit the the need to preserve one's reputation as an exchange provider on the Lightning Network should limit the proliferation of this attack. For now, it remains unclear how a Lightning-based decentralized exchange will function in the real world, but Ploy's solution appears to be a good enough approach that can still offer tremendous value to users. Additionally, it's possible that someone else will come up with a better solution that will make the Lightning Network's functionality as a decentralized exchange require even less trust in a third party. So, to just summarize this real quick, as a side effect of these swaps that you can do cross-blockchain, the person who is facilitating it has the opportunity to either approve or deny those swaps within a certain time period. That time period appears to be 24 hours. So there's an opportunity here for the person to just wait, because you're essentially requesting a trade at a certain amount, and they can just wait 24 hours to see if they're making a profit or if they're potentially losing money on that trade. And then they can decide if they approve it or not based on that. This is, of course, deeply unfair, but there are some potential solutions that they don't seem perfect, but they seem better than nothing. Now, I'm not in a position to decide here if it's a better idea to completely get rid of the cross-blockchain functionality, because Lightning is very exciting even as just a layer running on only Bitcoin or only Litecoin or only Vertcoin or only any other protocol. Because it has massive scalability and efficiency improvements over the just basic blockchains. So even without this cross-blockchain operability, it would still be very exciting, but ultimately this is something that Lightning developers need to decide, and I don't feel well equipped enough to really make any claims about this. Let's very briefly talk about Augur. I already talked about them a while ago when news came out that they had allegedly 2 million at stake at any current time on their platform. Now somebody is questioning that. Tetras Capital founding partner Alex Zunnerborg has revealed that decentralized gambling platform Augur is suffering from the same lack of volume that continues to plague the decentralized application ecosystem at large. Reacting to the platform's weekly report released on January 9th, Zunnerborg stated that the total volume of active markets on Augur is, in fact, less than 100,000. In the report, Augur placed the total value of bets placed on the platform at over $2 million. This value was achieved across a total of 1,724 markets. Writing on Twitter, however, Zunnerborg tore into this valuation, stating that it includes already concluded bets, which when removed present a different picture of the platform's adoption. And this is his actual tweet. Augur metrics showing 2 million total money at stake include markets that have already ended. If we exclude markets that have ended, there is less than 100,000 total money at stake. And then he followed it up with another tweet, the largest market being under $10,000 on Ethereum over Bitcoin market cap on 2019 year end. It will be recalled that this is not the first time that the low adoption of dApps compared to expectation has attracted attention. In August 2018, CCN reported that the number of dApps with more than 300 active daily users across both Ethereum and EOS came to just 8 in total. This came in spite of the continued growth of dApp development, particularly on the Ethereum network, which hosts Augur. In November, Augur did record close to $2 million in bets on the US midterm election, but this turned out to be a false dawn for the platform, which has not taken off as many dApp developers as hoped it would. So there are really two stories here. One of them is Augur seemingly exaggerating by quite a massive factor, a factor of 20. Exaggerating how much activity there's happening on their platform, which, understandable, but not the right thing to do. And I haven't looked into this data closely, but his argument here seems compelling that Augur included already closed bets to make their activities appear more active, larger, to make the activity seem larger. But then you have the bigger story that as much development as there's happening in the dApp space, it has not come with the kind of adoption that we might have been hoping for. Now, I am not as negative on this as a lot of other people are. The way I'm looking at this is that all of this is going to take time. At this current moment, dApps are in their infancy. And for dApps to find mainstream adoption, we need some killer apps, essentially, in the dApp space. We need dApps that either do something that is already common, much better than any app that is currently on the market. So for instance, we need a social media platform that is more appealing than Facebook and Twitter and Instagram to a mainstream audience. Now, these things are not likely to happen anytime soon. We're not going to get a music streaming platform that is more appealing to the mainstream user than Spotify. We are not going to get a Netflix alternative that the average user prefers to Netflix. We're not going to get an email service that will make people leave Gmail. But the space in which we might find adoption is if exciting new projects get developed as dApps, and we just need one dApp to enter the mainstream for an influx of money into these markets. Now, I have said many times that I think the way to do this is to look for novel applications, to look for things that can only happen in a decentralized app, not to just try and copy existing apps. And there's a lot of gambling happening on blockchain. Now, blockchain lends itself to that because it has a layer of security, and the decentralization adds to it in some meaningful ways. But that is nothing new. So the only people that are going to be impressed and that are going to take part are people who are already heavily invested in the crypto space. What we need are dApps that appeal to a mainstream audience, and one of the big things that are in the way is the simple fact that on most dApp platforms, running a dApp costs a lot of money. That is a big problem. dApps are full of microtransactions because every time you want to do anything in a lot of dApps, you have to send something through a blockchain with a cryptocurrency token. You have to pay, whether that's gas or whether that's tiny amounts of a cryptocurrency, you have to pay something. And some platforms get around that. Platforms like EOS, where these tiny transactions are free. And those are a lot more attractive to create a dApp that can find mainstream appeal. But that is the big issue that we currently have to overcome first, to even get into the position where we can create dApps that have the necessary mainstream appeal to really take the entire dApp ecosystem to the next level. Like I keep repeating, we need that killer app. We need one dApp that is so impressive or so unique or so novel or so good or backed by so much funding and such a good marketing campaign that it gets mainstream news, that it gets a lot of normal people who are not already in the crypto space interested in using it and gets them using it. And then everything is going to go well from there. As it stands right now, in such an early developing market, a lot of what we see are not the most inspired projects, are projects that are only appealing to a very small section of the already existing crypto ecosystem. So we are still so early. It makes sense that a lot of these dApps would not have a lot of users. That's not to say that they're bad products. It's just that they're essentially competing with massive corporations because they're doing the same thing that big companies that have a marketing budget, that are well known, that already have a built-in user base are doing. And that can't be the path to any kind of mainstream usage for dApps. Not in the beginning, at least. So I think we're going to see more unique, interesting stuff that can only be done in a dApp be done soon. I think in the gaming space, there are a lot of potential use cases for this. And in the gaming space, it doesn't matter if someone else is already doing something similar to you. It's easier to set yourself apart in video games than in social media or gambling. So I think that is probably where we're going to see the first mainstream dApp. It's just a matter of time until it happens. It will definitely happen at some point, and then we will see a lot more dApp activity. Right now, it's not looking that peachy, but we're going to get there. And last but not least, and I'm just going to talk about this really briefly, Bitmain has been in a lot of problems. Bitmain is allegedly letting go over 50% of its staff, the entire Bitcoin Cash division, they're getting a new CEO, just a bunch of issues, and now adding to that, they are apparently pausing development or significantly downsizing development on one of their major projects that was meant to create a massive mining farm in Texas. Bitmain Technologies is shelving its plans to create a mega Bitcoin mining facility in Rockdale, Texas. The news comes as the Bitcoin mining behemoth continues to downsize both the scale of its operations as well as its staff numbers. According to Texas Public Radio, Bitmain is suspending its plans to build a $500 million crypto mining and data center in Rockdale. Commenting on the news, Steve Young, the Milam County judge, said, I'm really disappointed because we had advertised this. We had waited for this and had wanted this. We had welcomed this. This was huge. We need some positive news here and some jobs here. We need a tax base here, and this was a step in the right direction. Back in mid-2018, the company announced plans to build one of the largest Bitcoin mining centers in North America. At the time, Bitmain said the facility situated on the Alcoa aluminium smelting site would commence operations in 2019, providing as many as 500 jobs. For Young, the news is yet another blow to the local economy of a place struggling to attract investments. Dave Barkemeyer, a former Milam County judge, says the county has lost about 30% of its tax revenue in the last 10 years. And you can read the rest of this article. There's some more interesting tidbits in there, but I really liked the perspective they're taking here, because they're looking at this from the perspective of the local industry and the local authorities who, this is sad for Bitmain as well, obviously, because they were building this massive project and now they're in a situation where they can't go ahead with it. But it's disastrous for a small community that was really getting hopeful for this. They thought they were getting a big new business in town. They thought they were getting 500 jobs in middle America, where those jobs are really needed. And it's always a lot of people are celebrating Bitmain going down like this. And I understand that Bitmain is one part of the centralization of the mining world, and as such, it's not the most positive thing, but this is 500 potential jobs. This is a lot of potential tax income for a small community that could really need it. This is sad. This is not something to get happy about, in my opinion. I don't get happy about stuff like this. I don't get happy about other people's misfortune. So the way I'm looking at this is really unfortunate. This is really sad. I hope Bitmain can get into a financial situation where they're doing better again. They have completely mismanaged their company. They have tried growing way too much, way too quickly. They didn't hedge properly against some really likely market outcomes, and now everyone is suffering for it. Allegedly, over 1,000 people. I've seen some estimates saying almost 2,000 people are going to lose their jobs or have already lost their jobs. Another 500 jobs that were meant to be created apparently are not going to be created now. Or if this is going ahead, it will be a smaller facility and it will take longer for even a small portion of those people to be hired. This is not good news, and I refuse to be happy about this. And this does reflect the current state of the crypto space in general. And I know we are going to get through this. But that doesn't mean we should just ignore or even get happy about the misfortunes and all the bad things that are happening right now. And I'm sorry for ending another video on a negative note. That has happened a lot lately. But you guys know I'm very optimistic for the long run. That doesn't mean I can't get sad or down sometimes looking at the current state of the situation. So we will get through this. And the next bull run will be bigger than ever before. I do still think there are good chances that we'll see it within the next 3 months or so. But until that is happening, there's a lot of sad stuff happening in our community. And I refuse to ignore it, because I think that's not fair. I think that's not fair to all these people losing their jobs and all these people who were hoping for jobs, who were counting on this and who are not getting them now. So, yeah. Thanks for watching. All the links in the description. In the description, you'll also find my social media links and ways to support the channel. If you like my content, I would really appreciate if you just left a like and comment under my videos. If you could turn that into a habit, because I know every YouTuber asks you to do this, but it really makes a huge difference. Doing this extended bear market, I've noticed there's a lot fewer people seeking out crypto news. So right now, it really helps because there's fewer people watching and stuff. So if you can just leave a like, leave a comment, it helps my channel grow, helps me keep the channel alive, and that means I can put more time and effort into making stuff for you guys. So anything is really appreciated. I'll be back with another video tomorrow, and thanks for watching.